Okay, what's up everyone? My name is Tarbash and I will hopefully spend the next hour with you. Hopefully not longer. But I guess we can get started right away then. Let's get rid of the intro and into the action. Okay, so first off, you will probably notice one of the best NES musics playing right about now. Try to not talk on top of it too much. Well, okay, I made it past the harder part, so it's all good now. But yeah, this is, well, some people probably call it Astyanax, which is the correct pronunciation, but I'll just refer to it as Astyanax. And you might have played the arcade game with the same name and be wondering like what is going on, but it's not exactly the same game, as you might have noticed by now. So the main thing in this game, like the feature that you probably won't see in too many other NES games, is that you have a power meter down there, and you can't just spam attacks, so you gotta wait for the power meter to fill up. Oops. And here we have the fake item, because for some reason the game only lets you get a power meter upgrade like once every 2 sub-stages. But because stage 1 only has 1 sub-stage, then that item doesn't really do anything at all. And as you might notice, lag can be quite a pain in the ass in this game. And well, I guess we could talk about the weapons. The first weapon you have is an axe. It does like a average amount of damage, and you can cast like an average amount of spells. Then this second upgrade, believe it or not, it's called a spear. It has very weak melee attacks, but you can use a lot more spells, and that's good for us because we want to use spells on like almost every single boss in the game. Okay, nice. That guy let me pass. Oops. This is the hardest boss in the game, by the way. Nah, I'm not gonna toy around with him anymore. Didn't go as smooth as I expected. Because usually when you kill that guy, you're left with just 1 health. And I messed up one of the cycles, so had to use a backup plan. Yeah, Medusa is giving you free back scratches. Yeah, the story of this game is that you're a 16-year-old high school student, or wherever he was in school, and you get teleported into this universe, and a fairy asks you to save the princess of the realm, and that's pretty much the whole plot. The usual hero story. Oops, that was way too close to dying. Yeah, so now we're on our way to basically the final guy's castle, taking out all these magnificent creatures, like this cow who can't get a single spell off. Yeah, that was like the... If you watched any Mega Man 4 speedruns, that was the Toad Man of this game. He tries his hardest, but he just can't get his rain to cast. Yeah, these, like, Well, you saw the stage where we went up, but we also have a stage where you just go down. These stages are pretty boring and meaningless, to be completely honest. Yeah, the game is somewhat optimized at this point. As you might have noticed, the health counts down after all the stages, so a lot of the optimizing now comes down to just getting rid of as much health as possible. And we don't really want Macarena Man here to hurt us too much, because this boss is quite trolly and can kill you. But seems like he's being nice today. I don't know if this guy was inspired by Krang, but it's probably the weirdest boss in the game. So now we get to the second bread and butter of the game, which is the time stop spell. Normally these stages would be completely full of enemies and there would be an insane amount of lag. But by using time stop in correct spots, you can not only avoid the lag, but you can make it through safe. A lot of this stuff wasn't in the game when I started running it, but luckily we have the lovely TAS community who had made a TAS since the previous runner had played the game. So at least I think I picked this strat up from the TAS. As you can see, a lot of the game is just like damage boosting and using the iframes to get through precisely. And making it through without losing, I mean with losing the correct amount of health. Now, yeah, I was gonna say that this guy is a bit of a troll. He usually doesn't let you hit him unless you jump from like a very specific spot. He just loves to block as much as you can. Yeah, I forgot to explain the... When you use... I think if you have 2 or 3 magic or less left, then you can get a fairy spawn from these containers. And that fairy spawn will either change your weapon to something else or refill your magic. And that is abused in like pretty much the whole game. Okay, let's not die in this upcoming spot. Oh man. Those iframes there are very precisely timed, and if you mess it up by even a tiny bit, the ground plant will just knock you in the pit. But we're doing fine so far. And anyone who's played this game casually knows that this is probably the hardest stage in the whole game. And the same applies to the speedrun. Because I think this stage only has like 1 tiny health refill. And against this guy especially, you start to notice that you really cannot... Oops, well that's the troll pattern. But you start to notice that you really cannot be overlapping your melee hit and spell in this game. You can use it like you use a spell first and then hit, then you get both hits to land, but if you use melee first and then spell, then the spell will whiff, because the enemies still have iframes on. So, we continue with the same formula of just trying to lose the perfect amount of health. Except I didn't really want to get hit twice by that guy. Should still be fine. As you might notice, this game has a lot of these spots where you have a ton of pits, and it's just for casual players. Like when you think you can jump over a pit, and then you just have an enemy pop up right on the other side or from the pit, and you'll have to do it all from the beginning again. But this stage especially is quite beautifully routed out already, so you don't have to worry about anything at all. And now we get full magic refill again. And we get another boss we just use the spells on. On this boss you have to wait until the boss actually like forms into one again. Otherwise you're just wasting your spells. Now this upcoming stage, everyone always comments how this stage looks very easy and simple, but these blue guys on the ground have caused probably more record pace runs than anything else in this game. Let's see if this guy gets up and shows what I mean. Apparently he's trying to be nice. Well, that guy gets up. But yeah, if that happens, there's literally nothing you can do. You just have to take it. Then we get another Macarena man who doesn't really do much of anything. People actually enslaved. Yeah, those people are pretty sad looking in their prisons. So now we get to the supposed maze level. The only advice you get is like, look at the signs. But there's really nothing in this game that would be a sign of any kind. So I don't know if it's like a translation error or what. But whoever designed this maze wasn't really too smart, because they put a skeleton to guard every door that is the correct door. If you enter any other door, you get ported back to the previous screen or back to the beginning of the current screen. But like you have the skeletons guarding every single door, so you don't really have to think at all like where to go. But for a speedrun, as you might notice, you get knocked around a lot, and at least so far no one has figured out how to control the poverty Metroids there. So you can potentially lose quite a few seconds if you get knocked back by these guys in like every single screen. And yeah, Astyanax is pretty damn buff for being a 16-year-old high school kid. There's even a cutscene later on in the game where he threatens the final boss like he's the hot stuff, while he's actually just a kid with some magical sword. I'm just gonna take this health just for safety. There's another mini-boss, Thorn Dog, who turns into this guy. Now, we swapped to the final weapon upgrade because the upcoming stage is a boss rush, and we won't have enough magic to handle all of the bosses anymore. So from now on we just use the sword until we get to the final boss. And now we get to meet all of our friends again. if you want to optimize the speedrun, you just have to learn like the precise amount of power you need for each boss. I'm gonna try the stupid jump. Yeah, of course it failed. That's one of the time saves that is not in the world record, but I don't know if it's sub-pixels or if it's just too precise of a timing, but most of the time that jump fails. Sometimes you can get early hit on the boss, but I just had to try it, because why not? Then we get the cow, and you can finally see the cow's attack, which is not very strong. I'm gonna try the early hit on this guy too. Okay, got it. Usually that early hit is pretty painful to land. Of course, you hit the rock instead that he's trying to throw at you. And we get to our final refight. And now it's just time for the final boss. Now this boss features like the only actual glitch of the game. Because I'm supposed to hit him 3 times and with a 1 tiny hit after that. But if you hit him and stop the time, for some reason he takes 1 full extra hit. I don't understand why, but that's just how it goes. Hope I didn't mess this up. I might have. Yeah, this is the final boss. Let's hope that... Okay, I didn't mess it up. That boss has 3 phases, but I didn't really have time to explain them, because in the speedrun you don't really get to experience the phases at all. But yeah, that is pretty much the game. It's not the hardest game around, but it just comes down to like optimizing the lag and how much health you have when you finish stages. But yeah, now you get the saddest ending, because you expect that he will just celebrate with the princess, but he just says that he wants to get teleported back to school. So I guess that's a sad ending. But yeah, I think I'll just let Shima fade me out now and come back with the next game in a moment. So thank you for the GGs, and I'll be right back.